Hey guys, so we're gonna finish Act 2 today. So y'all need to read Act 2, Scene 3 and Act 2, Scene 4. They're both super short, so I don't feel bad about giving you two scenes. And then make sure that you're trying to fill out that chart. Tomorrow, y'all will have your quiz, and I'll probably post some review videos about Act 2, just going over the high points. And you can, if you missed anything, go back over it. If you have any questions about the chart, just send them to me. Yeah, and then you'll have your quiz tomorrow and you'll turn your charts in just like you did with Act 1. So let's go ahead and jump into Act 2, Scene 3. In case you didn't notice, it's literally 2 paragraphs, so it's super, super short. So this guy called Artemidorus is writing a letter to Caesar, and pretty much he just warns Caesar, and he name drops every single conspirator, like take heed of Cassius, come not near Casca, have an eye to Cinna. So he just names all of them, pretty much in the order that they were recruited as well. So that's kind of scary that he knows exactly who's planning it and kind of in what order they decided to join the conspiracy. So it seems like the conspiracy is not quite as secret as the conspirators wanted it to be. It's really not as much insider knowledge as they perhaps perceived it to be. And so his plan is to take this letter where he warned Caesar of all of the conspirators and to hand it to Caesar when he walks past him on the street. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So he says that my heart laments that virtue cannot live out of the teeth of emulation. So he's basically saying that it's unfortunate that Caesar cannot rule, and he basically calls Caesar virtuous because people are jealous of him, pretty much. So he's attributing the conspirators' actions to their envy of Caesar and his power, rather than what we know Brutus's motive to be, which is trying to help the people and preserve the republic. And then he also says, if you read this, O Caesar, thou mayest live, if not, the fates with traitors do contrive. So he also seems to be a big proponent of fate. So he thinks that if Caesar doesn't get the letter, if Caesar doesn't read the letter and be warned, then it must be fate that wants the conspirators to succeed. So that goes back to that whole theme of fate versus choice. And that's all that's there in Scene 3. So now we'll do Scene 4 really quickly. So Scene 4 is about Portia. So Portia has been told by Brutus what they're planning to do, and she's freaking out. She is not, like, playing it cool at all. She orders Lucius to go to the Senate house and just see what Brutus is doing. But she doesn't tell him that. She's like, go, run. And he's like, where? You didn't even tell me. You didn't tell me what I'm supposed to do there. You just told me to go run. And she's like all worked up, and she's like, well, I would have had you there and back again. Like, why didn't you just go? So she's freaking out, and part of the reason she's freaking out is because she's really, really struggling to keep this secret. So she says, O Constancy, be strong upon my side. Set a huge mountain between my heart and tongue. I have a man's mind, but a woman's might. How hard it is for women to keep counsel. So she's saying kind of like her big speech to Brutus earlier, where she says, like, yeah, I'm a woman, but I'm your wife, and I'm the daughter of Cato, and that should amount to something. So she basically says, like, I'm just as smart as a man, as in I have a man's mind, but I have a woman's might. So basically, I'm like, she's saying that she's really smart, but that she finds it very difficult to keep secrets. So that's kind of a jab at women, but that's pretty common throughout this play. So Lucius is still like, why am I running to the Capitol? You haven't told me why. And she basically just says, like, go there and just, like, tell me what's going on. Just, like, go look. Like, have a little peek and then come back and report back to me. And then she's like, oh my god, I heard a noise. And he's like, no, you didn't. There wasn't a noise. So Lucius is off to go see Brutus, and that's when the soothsayer shows up. So remember the soothsayer, he's the one who's been warning Caesar about the Ides of March, and now it's officially the Ides of March. And he's planning to go warn Caesar again. So Portia, like, actually engages him in conversation because she wants to know what's going on in the Capitol. Obviously, she just sent Lucius to go check. So she wants to know if he was there, and he's pretty much like, no, I'm just coming from my house to go to the Capitol. So he basically tells her that he's planning to tell Caesar, like warn Caesar. He says, if it will please Caesar to be so good to Caesar as to hear me, I shall beseech him to befriend himself. So that's kind of a way of saying I'm going to try to get him to heed my warnings for his own sake. Um, and Portia's immediately like, why would you do that? Do you know something's going on? And obviously we know from Act 2, Scene 3 that there are people who know exactly what's going on because Artemidorus knows exactly what their plan is, that they're planning to do it today, who's in the conspiracy, in what order they joined. So this isn't insider knowledge. But she's starting to freak out because if the soothsayer is planning on warning him, now Portia knows that other people know as well. So he just goes to take his place, just like he's done the whole play, to go warn Caesar. And, I mean, then Portia is just still directing Lucius to do stuff. She says just to go say hi to Brutus, pretty much. And that's the end of Act 2. So all of this is just kind of set up for Act 3. Like, this entire act all took place on the Ides of March. So it was all from like midnight or like the wee hours of the morning, and now it's probably close to like 9 or 10, like standard go to your job time, I guess. So it's all just this rising action, building tension, to like the big scene where Caesar will ultimately be betrayed and murdered. So that covers all of Act 2. So make sure that you finish filling out your charts, and your quiz will be tomorrow. Bye!